up? It's Angela Yee, and it's Way Up with Angela Yee, and it's time for one of my favorite things, Wealth Wednesdays. My partner, Stacey Tisdale, is here.
Woo, woo. Way up.
Stacey, welcome to Way Up with Angela Yee.
And Wealth Wednesdays, we're so excited to be in our new home. It is awesome.
Yes, and today we have Jason White with us.
What's up? How you doing? Jay White, first name, last name.
Jay White.
Yes.
Okay.
You like that? That's a
Jay
little
White.
tagline. Yeah, you feel me?
Jay White.
That's it.
But I do want to make sure that we introduce you properly because everybody's been saying amazing things about once they have a conversation with you, they're like, oh my God, wait until you meet Jay White.
It's only because I brushed my teeth. That's all it is. But I'm Jason White. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. 2 up, 2 down. Home of AI and all that good stuff. And I went to Booker T. Washington High School. I didn't graduate college. I went to Norfolk State. You know about Norfolk State University?
I definitely do.
So I went there, but I didn't graduate. And I'm just a guy that just figured it out. That was it.
All right, as far as figuring it out.
Yeah.
You did figure it out. There's a little more of that backstory.
Yeah, a little lot more.
Yeah.
Backstory.
Which piece y'all want me going to? I go into all.
Let's start with where we are now, and then let's go to the backstory. Because what interests me the most is I was telling you I have my MWBE, right? That's my Minority and Women Business Enterprise certification.
Of course, yeah.
And part of why I did that was everybody's like, you need to do this to get government contracts, and you can actually make a lot of money when you get these government contracts. But I just never really knew after that what's next.
If you don't know, you don't know. But a lot of people are told to go ahead on and get a certification, and you need the certifications to get government contracts, but that's not true. That's why I started at the federal level, and I teach my students, you don't need certifications to be awarded a federal government contract. That's just a misconception that's just out there. And if you don't know, you're going to do that first, and then you're going to take the steps to understand what it takes to be awarded a federal government contract. So what we do is the company is called the Federal Code. And what we do is we teach individuals and businesses how to obtain and be awarded federal government contracts by not doing the work, by subbing out the work. So you get the contract awarded to your company and you sub it out to another company that's already ready and prepared to do the work. So that way you're not wasting time trying to build a company for yourself, because the mindset isn't what I can do, it's about what I can manage. Can I manage the contract? Exactly. I'm the conduit.
The middleman.
That's it. Or the middle woman. Everybody want to be the plug. Everybody want to be the plug. But now my customer is the federal government, which is the largest customer in the entire world.
Now, give us an example of how this can work. Give us just some type of layout so that people can understand it.
Yeah. So if there's a janitorial contract in New York, and I live in Houston, Texas, shout out to Houston, and I go apply or submit a proposal for this janitorial contract in New York, I'm going to look for a janitorial company in New York. I'm going to get them to give me a quote. I'm going to put my money on top of their quote, and I'm going to submit that proposal to the federal government. And I'm going to wash, rinse, repeat.
There you go. It's like being a booking agent.
It's a layup. What's the job? Who can source it? Boom. That's it. Now, everything obviously is some more nuances in between, but that's just it in a nutshell. And you didn't hear me say anything about certification,
right?
Insurances, licenses, wait for 2 years,
but
all this crazy stuff. Oh yeah. So you have to be a legit company, right? Good question or good comment. That wasn't a question, right?
It was a lead.
So no, you have to have an LLC, because what the federal government doesn't do is people to business.
Okay.
They do B2B, business to business. So we talking about our ex-felons, people, the sketchy past, the scammers. If they have a legit LLC and within good standings, they can do business with the federal government.
Now, what brought you, Jason, to actually being involved in this and to also starting the Federal Code?
Yeah, so that's the real story.
Backstory.
Now we get to the backstory, because I want to start with where we're at now and what you're teaching people. Because one thing I have learned is when you get those government contracts, people and companies have become rich. Really created generational wealth
for sure,
just from getting these contracts from the government.
Yep.
And two things that Jason taught me was it's not one and done.
Yeah.
Like most of the contracts, he'll tell you, they were 4-year contracts, but also the things. I think when people hear government contracts, like, do I have to make military equipment? Do I have to? He's worked with wig company, just everything, just anything. Anybody, I mean, they need all these services. We don't think about how diverse.
Anything the federal government needs. Yes. Anything you need outside the federal government, you need it inside. Anything they need it on the outside, they need it inside the federal government and they create a contract for it. So real quick, just if people don't know what a federal, and every time I speak on the federal level. Can you make money with the state? Can you make money with the local municipalities? Yes. But I speak on the federal level because it's less red tape and it's a quicker process to just get started and be awarded a federal government contract.
Feels like it would be the opposite.
Right? It should be, but it's not. The state has all of this red tape. The federal government is literally like, can you do the job and how much you charge me?
That's kind of like during COVID when people were getting contracts to make masks.
Yeah.
I got one.
See?
Yeah, that's why I said, Yo, check this out. This is the crazy part. I knew it was a pandemic before it was going to be a pandemic. In 2017, the federal government hit my company up and asked me to secure 18.4 million masks.
What?
Yeah,
now you're breaking news here.
Yeah,
okay, it's a pandemic.
This old news. This 2017 money, but I'm gonna talk about it real quick. So they asked me to secure 18.4 million masks. I said, of course, but I don't make masks, so I just had to find a company or a manufacturer to help me out. I got the federal government the price. They didn't come back to me again until 2018, closer to 2019, and said, yo, we need that. Is it at the same price? Of course it's not the same price, right? We know the slogan, right?
Right.
Yesterday's price, not today's price. So I put my more money on top of it. And when 2019 hit with the big pandemic, I was like, yo, that's crazy. They asked me this in 2017.
Wow.
So the big advantages of having your customer as the federal government, you get to know what the world is, what's happening in the world. And then obviously you can attach a financial gain to it.
You're talking about middleman. What about the person sitting out here, the small business owner sitting out there that says, I want to sell my products directly to the government? You actually act as a conduit and teach them how to do it.
I do, but it's the same thing. You just don't need the other company. So if my company is a janitorial company and I'm in New York, do the job. My life ain't set up that way. At the end of the day, we don't want to always hustle for work. We want to use our mind versus our hands. We want to think it through versus dive into it with our own hands. Even if you love to do it, great. But if you delegate it, think about this. If the NFL players are making 130 million over 4 years, who's stroking that check for $130 million? I want to be that person.
Right.
And that person use their mind, obviously.
Work smarter, not harder.
100%.
That's
your money to work.
That's the motto.
100%.
Okay. So let's go back to this whole, so you did the 18.4 million
Mask. I did gloves too, but
and
mask.
gloves.
Yep.
All right, so give us an idea when you say put some money on top of it. You don't have to tell us your exact numbers, but percentage-wise, or just give us some numbers as an example of what people could make off of a contract.
So obviously it's different levels, but in the example that we're talking about with the mask, let's say the masks come 100 masks in a box.
Okay.
And per box, somebody wants to sell me $15 a box, but I need 18.4 million, right? So then we do the numbers and we see how many boxes I'm gonna have. So if they're gonna sell me $15 per 100, then I'm gonna put $1 on top of that box. So now it's not 15, it's $16 a box as my proposal to the federal government. And then whoever's out there with their calculator, do the math.
That's interesting. So now let's go back to the MWBE, right? Because we've heard about that. And sometimes, like, say you want to do a contract with certain times they'll tell you we're going to give 30% of these contracts have to go to MWBEs.
Oh my gosh!
All right, because I've heard that when it comes to the airports, when it comes to other contracts too. Can you explain that and why you don't need to, like you said, get certified?
Yeah, so it's propaganda, right? The federal government, number one, is mandated to slide a piece of the trillions of dollars in government contracting to these socioeconomic disadvantaged groups. That's what they call us, right? Minority-owned, woman-owned, service, disabled, veteran-owned, hub zone. They call us socioeconomic disadvantaged groups. So they say, all right, you take that money right there. Now, if they notice that we're not being able to win and apply because those socioeconomic disadvantaged groups are not actually submitting proposals for it, guess where those contracts actually go? Back to the main pot anyway, where the normal people continue to do it. See, when people think about federal government contracting, the government is very wordy. So they make it difficult to read through what's called solicitations before they come contracts. And because of that reason, most people shy away from it or say it's too difficult and they don't do it. But then you got people like me that figured it out and just keep wash, rinse, repeating it. So certifications are not needed because, number one, that's propaganda. Number two, they're not even the bigger contracts. They're not even the most residual contracts.
Okay.
And most people don't understand this neither. A minority is in the federal government is classified as anybody that's not a white male. So think about that. So now if I am a white male and I'm married to a Caucasian woman,
she's going to get the contract. She'll get the certification.
She'll get the contract.
Yeah, and I heard that does happen a lot.
all the time.
Because even with my coffee company, there's certain spaces that we're trying to be in, but they said we need our MWBE in order to be able to be there.
Yeah, so it's not true.
A lot of it is propaganda. It's good to get those certifications because a lot of companies, if you work with, they're looking for companies that have, like you, that have that certification. But last year, what was it? The Biden administration, they gave 152 or over 150 million in government contracts.
Yeah, and what's the percentage?
Less than 2% of those are going to black businesses. And I think, like we were talking beforehand, when people hear this, they gloss over like that's just complicated. That's just whatever. But this is untapped.
So I think
wealth.
For my opinion, right? My humble opinion, for real, I think certifications are good for corporate contracts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certifications are not good for government contracting until you understand how to leverage that certification. Because if you got your certification and you have yours and I don't have mine, but neither one of y'all know the process and y'all get into a pool with me, because all certifications is it allows you to be in a smaller room to be with the same people that have the same certifications. Right? So now we all got the same certification, but y'all don't know the process. I'm going to eat y'all up all day. Because just because you got the certification don't mean you know how to bid, know pricing, and know what documentation should look like. So now you frustrated that you went out and got this certification, but you don't know how to leverage it.
Let's talk about how we got here.
Let's go.
With you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Because I am very curious to know what brought you to actually starting this and even knowing about these contracts and being able to leverage it.
Yeah, so when I was in military jail, so I did 2 years there, and that's called the brig. I still got an honorable discharge, so I'm thankful for that. But when I came home, I just couldn't find a good job. That was all. We lived in Northview, shout out to North Virginia, and I was living at my mom's house. And a lot of people don't even understand, like, anyway, let me just keep going. So
no, go ahead. You still what?
I still understand I'm not far removed from where I was at.
Okay.
Like, that, obviously that's 2008, but I remember riding a pedal bike to work from my mama's house to a pedal bike, right? All the way to the gas station. And I'm working at the gas station part-time, and my homeboy came up there, and he's the one that introduced me to government contracting because he says he's going to get a government contract doing trucking. I'll never forget it. It was late night.
What was his name?
Stink Pot.
Stink Pot.
Okay.
Shout out to Pot. What's up,
Thank
homie?
you, Stink Pot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stink Pot.
So it was him. He came up, told me about federal government contracting real quick. He told me hit him up when I get off work. I did, but he got locked up the same night, 5 years. So then I went down the rabbit hole of YouTube University on my own. And you know how it was in 2008? It was trash. YouTube was trash back in 2000. It was terrible. So
Not going to find much.
I'm all self-taught. So that's how I got here. It took me 3 years to win my first contract, though.
Okay. So what was your first contract?
It was for grease traps. You ever seen one of those?
No, what is that?
I still ain't never. I don't know.
What's a grease trap?
Listen, all I know is
I don't even know what that
is. Something where in the kitchen they trap the grease, and then we was supposed to go in there and clean it out. That was my first federal government contract.
Wow.
And I won it for the total value of it was $325,000, but I was getting $125 a month.
Okay.
Now check this out. Some guru might be like, you can't quit your job. You can't have time, freedom. That ain't generational wealth. I ain't caring about none of that. I cracked the code. I figured it out. I understood now how to win federal government contracts for me not doing the work. And I took my mama to Sizzler that day. I'm that old.
Wow.
So
you know Sizzlers and Shoney's in the same building?
Yeah. Okay. No,
I'm
we
from
know
the
what
South.
Sizzler is.
All
A steak place.
Salisbury steak. That's what we had.
So you got your PhD, your public high school diploma.
Yes, you stole
you went
my
to college
thunder.
for a little while.
She's like, come on, we're going to talk about
You
this.
went to college
Yes,
for a little
I did,
while.
I
Then you
did.
went into the military.
Yep.
Then you went into the brig in jail 2 years in the military.
Yeah, that was
You
terrible.
got out, and within 3 years, you figured out how to get federal contract?
So it started in 2008. It just took me 3 years. Like I had that woe is me moment that second year where I was just like, I ain't smart enough. I don't have the patience. I don't have the manpower. I'm not speaking to these people properly because I was using a whole bunch of slang. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Hey, check me out. Like they like, all right, this not a real businessman. We can't talk to him. So I had to do self-reflection. So I was doing personal development before I knew what personal development was. Like, shout out to E.T., but I wasn't listening to him, right? I literally was just listening to the people critique me over the phone and said, I don't know who you are. I was like, all right, let me change this up. Okay, I had to ride the bike to the library because I didn't have a computer. So now let me get a legit email address. So I did a lot of personal development to become the person that could be winning federal government contracts and also manage them too.
Let me ask you this. So starting the federal code where you teach other people how to win these contracts.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start that business to help other people? Some people might say, I learned this and let me just get rich and keep it to myself.
Of course. So I'm not Jay from the gas station no more, right? They can tell something's happening. I don't have a pedal bike no more. I got a Honda Accord. I'm not just riding around the neighborhood anymore. I took a trip to Puerto Rico. Yo, what are you doing? I'm seeing you getting money. What's happening? So inadvertently, I became a teacher because they asking me, what are you doing? So as I'm sharing it with them and they're figuring it out, I'm just like, okay, there comes a certain point in time where I'm like, all right, I can teach this at a larger scale. Because as people are starting to come up to me with their own knowledge and their own research, I'm like, you got it all wrong. You don't even have to do all that. So I just figured out a way to just do it on a larger platform. I'm actually figuring out that's like a passion of mine. Just teaching. I didn't even know.
And I loved when we talked about, I asked you, what's your X factor? And you said you were never passionate. This is not your passion. Starting the federal code was never your passion.
Nah.
But your passion was...
Yeah. My passion is teaching people and me just being ultra competitive. I want to win. Like right now,
even at the gas station.
If you have somebody interview right after me, I want to be better than them. I don't even know who it is. I want to be the best interview for the week, like straight up period, right? So I'm just ultra competitive, and I know most people don't. You can cultivate that. That can be taught. That can be a learned trait. And while I'm teaching people government contracting, I'm giving them ultimate confidence, and I'm giving them a skill set of communication as well as learning federal government contracts, and I'm loving it.
Tell us about some of the success stories you've had as far as teaching other people how to get these federal contracts.
So I think one of the biggest ones is obviously my man Stinkpot when he came home. I taught him, he's doing this thing. But one of the most recent ones, a 21-year-old college student purchased my course. His very first contract was $2.1 million.
Sheesh.
But that's just for food processing. Food processing. Dude don't got a food processor. He don't got a factory or none of that. But man, shout out to him. But I have a lot of those stories though. Like now it's come to the point where I have over 4,500 students. And everybody don't always hit me up now and tell me they won.
Right.
Not no more. They used to. Oh man, Jay Wade, I won. But now it's like when we get on our Zoom calls, they say, oh, I won on my third one. I'm like, why ain't you tell me about your first one? Like, what's up with you? I want to celebrate with you, but I'm just having a ball. Having a good time. Yeah.
How does it work? What are you actually teaching people in the course?
So we definitely have to teach them how to look for the right types of contracts or they're called solicitations. We got to teach them communication like I talked about. We have to teach them pricing because when I first started, I think federal government, I think blank check.
Right.
So I'm putting $1 million on top of everything. I'm getting out the hood. I'm going to hook everybody
They're
up.
like, sorry, you price yourself out.
Right. It don't work like that. So we definitely got to teach pricing. We got to teach how to communicate with the individuals that people think is the government, but they're just a person that works for the government. So we have to have human and human interaction. So I teach that. We have to teach how to effectively formulate your company properly. Then I have to teach people how to manage a federal government contract from afar. Because remember, I don't care about what's in your backyard. I just care about what the contract is and where is it and how you can manage it from afar.
Yeah, because you have to make sure once you get that contract and then you get the work from somebody that they actually deliver to.
What would you do? What would you do? You the plug and they over there messing up your whole contract. What would you do?
You got to go out there. No. You got to show up. What's going on?
That's what most people think.
No, you got to get another you got to get another company to
see how common sense that is.
Yeah.
If they ain't doing their job, get them up out of there,
right,
and put somebody else in there because it's not their name on the line. It's yours. We're in the middle. They don't have a federal government contract. We do. They have a service agreement with us, but not a federal government contract.
Look at that. I feel like I just took the course.
You did.
See? It's a layup for you.
So people do the course and then you actually do live Zooms with them? Or
yeah, it's not enough to just purchase a shout out to everybody else that do this. I don't do it. It's not enough to just purchase a digital course and just say, I hope you do your thing. So we created platforms like we have a group Zoom call every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. where we have Q&A, confidence builders, go over situational scenarios and things like that. Then we have a private Facebook group. Then we have 4 coaching live calls with me as well. Because I don't want to see, like I said, even if somebody grasps the whole concept and they understand what I'm teaching in the course, they still might want to bounce questions off me. Right. They still want to have reassurance here and there. And that's what we provide.
Have you ever had to bid against one of your students?
Yeah,
on a contract?
Yeah, beat them every time. No. I don't know if I beat them every time. But sometimes I could tell during the Zoom call that I was like, all right, you going for the same one I am. Okay, cool. I technically don't bid on the contracts anymore myself. Mm-hmm. Okay. And my team do it. And then my companies are now sole source. That's when the government just reaches out to me and says, can you do this for us? And then we do it. So we technically don't have to bid anymore.
Wow. Yeah. So now you are passionate about this, even though it wasn't your passion, or just still more about the teaching?
It's the teaching.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely the teaching. I'm really enjoying it. It's nothing more gratifying to this point outside of me having my kids that where somebody can just reach out to me via email or hit me up in the DMs and say, yo, I just quit my job. Thank you. I appreciate it. You changed my family's financial trajectory. I appreciate it. I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Being the dude where I'm from, like, I literally, when I say I barely graduated high school by the skin of my teeth, like, so coming from that.
What your GPA was?
1.9.
1.9.
Shout out to the 1.9s. You can do it, yo. Don't even trip. Don't even worry about it.
Oh, my gosh.
Booker T. Washington, what's up?
But we do see, wait, hold on. And then you got into Norfolk State with 1.9?
No. Look.
Okay, so make sure.
I was a ball player. So I had to go to JUCO first.
Okay.
And I was doing terrible there, and the coach still was kind of like, all right, but he can't get on the team until he's get his GPA up. Mm-hmm. Once I got to Norfolk State, I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work for me. This ain't it.
It's not happening.
Just out there having fun. I had acne real bad, like terrible. That acne went away, man. Please, I was on campus like, I'm the man. New teeth. Who this? It's me out here.
Well, we love to see it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do like that you talked about with the pandemic is that even no matter what is happening, right, there's always a way you can figure out how to make money.
Yeah, so peep game.
There's money out there to be gotten.
Yes. We know what happened during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. A lot of people figured out home businesses, figured out how to monetize on social media and online platforms. But we know that the federal government isn't a business where I need people to buy into it.
Yeah.
Most people have a business where you either got to go online and shop, or you got to go into their store, or you got to be a part of something. The federal government just has a demand for a product or a service. That's why they never go out of style. That's why during the pandemics and the recessions, they don't go anywhere. It's recession proof. So I tell people, I'm proud of you. You got an amazing business. But everybody should be doing business with the federal government because we will hit another recession, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. There might be another pandemic at some point. I don't know.
Well, you let us know if they put in another order of masks.
Don't even trip.
Gloves.
And these contracts are, you said 4 years usually?
So I teach how to go for the residual, right? And they're 4 years and better. So right now, my company has 42 active contracts, and each one is 4 years and better.
Okay.
So I'm not into the space where I want to get a one-hitter quitter and then I get a government contract, get paid, then I'm hustling for the next one. No, I want to sit back, chill, understand what real residual income looks like, but it's just coming from the federal government.
What are the potential pitfalls? Because all of this is amazing. It sounds like, okay, you just got to do this. If that person doesn't work, then you got to find another person to fulfill the contract.
Yeah.
What are some other potential pitfalls that you've come across?
Yeah, so overall, just understanding, number one, I have to understand what the expectation is from the federal government. And if I can't effectively articulate the expectation to the person who's going to be working on my contract, then I fail. Because this person, if I don't articulate it properly, they could bid me $100,000 when they're supposed to be bidding me $300,000. Mm-hmm. Now they go out there to the site and they need more money.
Right.
Ain't no more money, player. You can't get nothing from me because the government usually awards on firm fix. Mm-hmm. So that's one pitfall. Another pitfall is just understanding how to have your documentation in order. If you don't have your documentation in order, aka your proposal, then they won't even consider your bid.
Right.
So if you don't know what that looks like, that's another pitfall. And then consistency. A lot of people don't understand you have to be consistent. There is a lot of opportunities. There are 96,000 contract opportunities every single day. But if you're not consistent at it, it's almost like you could lose it. Use it or lose it. And if you're not consistent, then nothing will happen for you.
And they better not give you no faulty products either.
Come on, there you go. You're going to jail. Your butt going to jail. Trust me.
But a lot of entrepreneurs, it's that paperwork part. They love the idea of this, but they say it's just so complicated.
I can't help them with that at the end of the day. Because I'm
you want to get this money or no?
Yeah. If your bank account can't move you, if your financial situation that you're in currently can't move you, ain't nothing I can say. I can't help you.
But you do talk them through the process.
I try to talk them. No. I teach them the process.
Teach them the process.
My overall goal is to teach the process. My goal is to not say, fool with Jay White and you're going to win a contract. No. Fool with Jay White, you're going to learn the process through and through.
It's up to you if you're going to win a contract.
Look. You're going to be consistent or what? And that's where we at with it. Most people have to understand that I just don't have a I quit level. I call it an IQ level, right? Most people have a low IQ level, and that's not how smart you are. That's your I quit level. I just don't have one. I ain't quitting. I was always like that. That's why when people ask me, why did it take you 3 years to win a federal government contract? Because I wasn't going to quit. Because I started this. Let me see it through. And my see it through was, I'm going to be awarded a contract. But when I did it, it just went up. It just went up for me.
Well, how can we, now I know we have something special because Stacey always is like, okay, we're going to have Jason White here, but
she ready to throw a gift out.
For Way Up with Angela Yee, we want to make sure that we can spread this knowledge.
Yeah.
So you have a course.
I do.
We have a discount and we have a masterclass.
Oh my goodness. We got so much.
We got it all.
Yeah. So my course is literally called The Federal Government Crack the Code, right? And that's on thefederalcode.com. But then we're going to do a masterclass, right? You going to be involved in the masterclass?
Yes, I am.
Come on, man.
You know I'm about my money. There's no question.
So the masterclass is going to be amazing. We're doing it based off of it's Black History Month. So we want to make sure it's not only just catered to African Americans, but anybody willing to listen. But because we are in Black History Month and we understand those numbers in federal government contracting is so low in our community, we're going to have something special for y'all on February 28th. Y'all just got to be there, be square.
And the numbers, I think your course is what, 28?
What numbers? Because I got a lot of numbers.
Okay,
which ones you want me to
too
go?
many numbers.
Yeah, which ones you want me to go? What
course
numbers?
Price?
So right now the course is $2,997, but we on Way Up, right? With Angela Yee.
Way Up. That's
so we're going to give a way down discount. And
okay.
And we're going to look out for people.
Yep, and you get that at Wealth Wednesdays/Crack the Code.
WealthWednesdays.com/Crack the Code.
WealthWednesdays.com, Crack the Code.
Let's go.
And you will learn how to sign up for his course and the masterclass.
And get a deep discount, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He's hooking us up. He's hooking us up.
It better not be $29.96.
No. We're going to look out for real. Nah,
okay, just making sure.
We ain't going to front. We ain't going to front on it. We're going to look out for real. And then if you talk to me, I'll talk back. I want this masterclass. I really don't like the word masterclass, but we're going to make sure this class is very interactive and they're going to leave with tangibles. There's too many times people have a class or a seminar and it's just like, I feel good. And that's all. Nah, we ain't about that life. We're going to give you something for real. Just be there.
Okay.
You got to get this done. It's offers only until February 28th, right?
That's it.
Last day of Black History
Month. That's it. Because if you don't get it, when March come, I'm marching right out your life. So
what about Women's History Month?
What month is that?
March.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, you just stepped in it.
I'm going to march right into all the hearts of women in March.
Yeah, he'll be busy in March. I've seen him in action. I've seen this man in action. He will be busy in March.
Yeah. Oh my God. I stepped in it then.
You did.
It's all good. I wiped my feet off. It's all good.
All right. Well, it's wealthwednesdays.com/crack the code. And Jason, you said you do reply to people, Jay White. So how can people reach out to you?
On Instagram at I am Jason White _. You gonna follow me?
I already did.
Let's go. You follow me already?
I do.
Okay. On Instagram at @IamJasonWhite_ and then the website is thefederalcode.com. But don't go there. Go to what Angela Yee telling you to go to.
Yes, go to thefederalcode.com/Wealth Wednesdays. That's thefederalcode.com/Wealth Wednesdays. Remember, this offer does expire February 28th, so you got a limited amount of time. Thank you so much, Jay White, for joining us. Of course, my girl, Stacey Tisdale, Wealth Wednesdays, way up with Angela Yee.